nobody can hear me, then oh well. I'll just not do a podcast this week because I'm not going to just keep on doing podcasts. All right, guys. Basically, let's just get started. 5 minutes into the damn thing. All right. Basically, the what happened? They announced that the the Dark Phoenix is going to be the name of the new X-Men movie. Which okay, they tried it before, ish, in X-Men Last Stand, which sucked. Sucked. It sucked. There's nobody. I don't know anybody who's ever said no. It was good or anything better than that. It sucked. So it is what it is. Anyway, guys, I'm going to be talking about Secret Empire right now. Oh, November 2nd, 2018 is supposed to be the release date for that. June 1st is supposed to be the release date for Deadpool 2, also 2018, and uh, sometime before that, 2.5 months before that. Hear my kids screaming? You can't hear me. You're not hearing them. But anyway, it's supposed to be the release of the New Mutants, and I'm very much looking forward to that. That one looks like it's going to be really good. I'm hoping that the other one will be good too. I'm hoping they're all going to be good. Just a second. Babe, any chance of getting them to not scream like that? Okay, let's try this again. So, let's talk about the ultimate Captain America, the ultimate Marvel reboot so far, because I've heard a lot of people talking about Captain America. Talking Captain America. Oh, Hail Hydra. Oh, it's horrible. It's the worst thing ever. Blah blah blah, and all that stuff. By blah blah, I don't mean your opinion is um, any less valid than anybody else's. It's not what I mean at all. What I do mean is that I hear a lot of people on one section talking about, oh yeah, man, freaking Marvel needs a reboot. And these people, sometimes I will talk to some of these people, and they're not, I'm not going to say they're not true Marvel fans because that's a real dirtbag thing to say. And I shower once in a while, whether I need it or not. So, no, it's okay for somebody to say that. Cryptic, what's up, buddy? Thank you that you can hear me. That's good. Appreciate that. All right. So, oh, also Cryptic. Yes, I went to my comic book store today, but I did not get my. I went to a different comic book store. There are three around me, and I was not able to get my Secret Empire box. The other one that I go to always has them. I did, however, get a second issue of issue 0. So, and I got a few other good guys here. But and I got my Miss Marvel character, a little bit above retail. I'm gonna go with it though. Anyway, so I will get that box soon. Okay, so let's talk about the road to Civil War. Civil War. The road to Civil War was already done a long time ago. The original Marvel superhero Civil War. Now we're going to talk about how Secret Empire came about, how Cap became this guy. And anybody who's complaining about, Marvel needs a reboot, I want you to think on this just for a moment here. Marvel literally rebooted one character, Captain America, and the world can't handle it. So how do you think that you'd be able to handle all of Marvel being rebooted? Just think on that for a moment. There's so much lush history, and this story alone should be enough to give you that example. Okay, so right now the question is what's real and what's not, because in reality, lies upon lies upon lies. Cryptic says, "Sweet man, my comic guy is keep in one box. He's keeping one box in reserve when he gets it." Well, that's a good guy. Meanwhile, I've got a guy who said, "Yeah, $20, one-time fee, or no, $20 per year, and I'll give you a pull list." Like, I don't. Pull list should be free, my man. When I was in Jersey, they gave me a free pull list. Here in Canada, $20 per year. I talked to he talked me. He tried to talk me down to $20 lifetime membership. Yeah, lifetime until next year, and then he tried to charge me more. Some people, man. Anyway, so uh, okay. The lie within the lie within the lie. Yeah, there's a lot of lies here, a lot of deception, and you're going to see that by the end of this. I'm hoping that I can put this all into perspective. The lie is that Captain America was always a Hydra agent. From when he was a little kid, that Eliza Sinclair came along. She is a character. I know there's a lot of people, like, who is she? Eliza Sinclair is nobody. The first appearance of Eliza Sinclair was in Captain America Steve Rogers issue number 1, which just came out last year, or what, 16 issues ago. So, yeah, she's a brand spanking new character. All right. In fact, I would not be shocked at all to find out that it is actually the Red Skull. I would not be shocked at all. I think you might enjoy. All right, where I'm going with this. Now, guys, again, I'm going to change the name of this. It's not just podcast number 18, Secret Empire. It's going to be Secret Empire Explained, how we got to this point and all that good stuff. So now, we have to talk about, first off, the reason why I say it's a lie with story that indicated that he was a good, loving, strong father. They never indicated otherwise. But either way, um, the case now is, right now, is that he's a bad guy. My stream keeps going on and off. I'm not cool with that. Anyway, so all right. She comes up and she says, join Hydra. Here's a piece of paper, some documentation, and gets him over there. And at one point, she apparently has to kill Steve Rogers' mom, or allows her to die. In reality, she saved her, and this is what really endears Cap with Eliza. So a lot of people are confused exactly what the true history of Captain America is right now, because this ultimate reboot, the truth of Captain America is that we don't know what the real truth is. But for now, expect that the true truth, the original truth, is the original story as we've always known it. All right? He was a good guy, always a good guy, the best guy. And moving throughout history the way he did in Ice, back, Man at a Time, and all that with Marvel's sliding time scale. Now, the Cosmic Cube. All right, the original Cosmic Cube. First off, the Cosmic Cube, issue number 75 of Tales of Suspense. Nailed it. Issue number 75, 79. Issue number 79 of Tales of Suspense, which came out in 1966. That was the first time we ever saw a Cosmic Cube, and that is the first Cosmic Cube on Earth. It was created by Hydra, made from X element, not element X even, X element. All right, just let it go. It's comic book science. Now, this Cosmic Cube was created, and eventually it became what is called cubic. Sentient Cosmic Cube, lost, found. Namor wound up finding at one point. AIM made it. If anybody's not familiar with AIM, if you don't read enough comics to know who AIM is, it's cool. AIM is the subversive group that was created in the Iron Man #3 movie. Those were the guys. In the comics, they wear big yellow beekeeper uniforms. In the latest episode or issue of U.S. Avengers, the ones who are secretaries wear blue. That's a Captain America observation. They're actually human resources admin. But anyway, so these guys, wow, my kids are loud and it's really distracting. Sorry. This podcast is very late for the day. Sorry. Anyway, the Cosmic Cube was created and very quickly taken over by the Red Skull, and he used it for all sorts of different purposes. And what he didn't realize, you see what I put up with? You see that? You hear that? Anyway, what he didn't realize was that he was teaching the Cosmic Cube, because little did he realize that these things are actually sentient. These things are sentient. And he was teaching it the whole time. Now, later on, it wound up, we discovered that they're actually using a form of Beyonder power. All right, so the power of the Beyonders, in a way, yes, there's more than one. I know. They actually, it was always referenced that there were inferred, thus inferenced that there was more than one, but from multiple different universes, realities. The only being that should technically be more powerful than the living tribunal, because you've got Eternity, extremely powerful being, but there's one Eternity for every dimension. Not for every dimension, for every multiverse. For every universe, there's an Eternity. But multiversal, transpiring all of them, is one living tribunal, only one. And if you're reading the Ultimates too, yeah, he dead. He's dead, destroyed by Logos, which is Master Order and Lord Chaos put together with the in-betweener. Asai, what's up, buddy? How you doing? All right, so the Cosmic Cube is this immensely powerful device, and it turns out it's actually sentient. Now, the sentience is actually crucially important, because, and here's why I'm going to explain why. A lot of people have wondered what's more powerful, Cosmic Cube, which alters reality, or the Scarlet Witch, who alters reality, probability manipulation, but more than that, reality manipulation we found out in House of M, magnified by Professor X. The only reason why she was that powerful in House of M was because she was magnified by Professor X. He was a huge conduit. Or the reality gem, which the reality gem by itself is uber powerful, guys, but it is about 1% as powerful. And this is a rough guesstimation based on what I've seen them be able to do with the reality gem by itself, without the other gems, the other the other 5 gems. By itself, it's only powerful enough to change reality alone. The Cosmic Cube can do a lot more than change reality. Here's something to take a little bit further. The power gem by itself will enhance your strength. The champion of the universe uses it, used to use it. Now he's just a lackey for Eros and Thane and Nebula in the Thanos comics. But for the most part, it just makes you stronger. It makes you more durable, harder to hurt, all that good stuff, more endurance. But uh, Champion of the Universe is an elder of the universe, much like the Game Master, who is Jeff Goldblum with the blue stripe in the Thor Ragnarok trailer. You know him, or the Collector who you've seen in the end credits of Thor: Dark World, getting the ether, or the which is one of the Infinity Stones, kind of different from the Infinity Gems, and he was also in Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, that guy. Anyway, so it is about approximately 1% as powerful as the Cosmic Cube. Now, the Power Gem, why did I bring up the Power Gem? Is because the purpose of the Power Gem on the Infinity Gauntlet is actually to magnify all of the other gems. It's to enhance it. Much like Professor X was a conduit to enhance the powers of the Scarlet Witch, the Power Gem actually magnifies the powers of the other Infinity Stones, Infinity Gems, probably in MCU also. In MCU, obviously, it's called the power, the stones instead of the gems. There may be a reason for that. I don't know yet, but so the reality gem plus the power gem, maybe I want to say anywhere from 10 to 30% as powerful as the Cosmic Cube. Why? Because the Cosmic Cube is more than just reality manipulation. It's reality control. Okay, that's the thing. It's not just manipulating something. Like I want to give you an example. The difference between Pyro from the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, who can manipulate or control fire, but he can't generate fire, as opposed to the Human Torch, who is so much more. He can turn his body into plasma and generate his own fire and control that fire and make it into all sorts of different shapes. There's a difference between manipulating something or controlling it by actually generating it and being able to manipulate it as well. All right. So the Cosmic Cube is reality control, absolute control. It can make its own reality as opposed to altering reality. So 10 to 30% when you add the power gem to the reality gem. And of course, the Infinity Gauntlet by itself, all of it with all of the gems attached, forget about it. That will be more powerful than the Cosmic Cube by itself. And one of the reasons is because although it is the power of the Beyonders ish, it is sentient. So it may resist you, while the gem won't. The gem, you can literally have the slight wayward thought, if only none of this existed, then literally you don't exist, the gauntlet doesn't exist. None of it exists. All right. So, and I know that some of you guys, the huge comic book fans, are saying, but in what's it called, the Illuminati comics, New Avengers, Secret Avengers, and you're right. The trick is that Reed Richards is trying to make the gauntlet not exist without undoing everything. The gauntlet, not the gauntlet, but the actual gems itself, kind of the gauntlet now, has something to do with the universe itself. So to uncreate the gauntlet without uncreating the universe is a little bit different. So anyway, guys, moving on from that, the power of the Cosmic Cube is boom, unbelievable, unbelievable. This story right now that we're reading with Secret Empire and Hydra Cap is the hands down best Cosmic Cube story I've ever read. And before this, I used to say that it was the story with Thanos getting his hands on the Cosmic Cube. Yes, he had the Cosmic Cube before he had the Infinity Gauntlet, and he was dangerous enough with that. And now with the Infinity Gauntlet, that's a little something more. On top of that, there's the story right now in Thanos where he's probably about to get a hold of the Phoenix Force, which I can't wait for that. In the meantime, yeah, the I'm going to tell you how this is kind of a full circle thing because the way that Sam Wilson, who until the most recent issue 2021, something like that, of Captain America, Sam Wilson was recently Captain America since right before the Civil War, Secret Wars, right before the Secret Wars. He was actually Captain America, and he just now put down the shield and said, "I'm done." Meanwhile, he got his powers way back in the day when Captain America got its own comic after his excursion with the Black Panther. He got his powers because the Red Skull gave him those powers to talk with birds and to have that special rapport with Red Wing. That's the Falcon that he's got, and in the movies, Falcon is just that drone. Talk to him. I'm not talking to that bird. I love that scene. Absolutely love that scene. But the Cosmic Cube is what gave him those powers. And he tried to manipulate his own reality to make him a sleeper agent to get the trust of Captain America, who'd become his partner, and then kill him. And it wound up not working. So you can kind of see now how the Cosmic Cube is messing with everything again, and Sam Wilson is in the middle of it all, but it's all focused on Steve. So, man, full circle, baby, full circle. So, I got a couple talking points. I wanted to talk about these things last last Saturday's podcast, but no, it didn't work out that way. I'm not complaining at all because I got to have a live feed with Ario Anandito, a fantastic artist who is currently working on Captain America, not Captain America, Secret Empire Unity, which is a double-sized 40-page issue standalone where he fights against the X-Men. Magic is supposed to be a major player in there. I'm Ilyana Rasputin. I'm very excited for that. I was so happy that he did that interview with me. He contacted me, which was just like, he is such a great guy. And yeah, if you come back and watch this, Ario, you're the man. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. What do you call it? So I'm not upset that I didn't get to do this last week. Instead, I get to do this week. Very late. And for the second time, because the first time I had no sound. Not happy. Okay, so let's get into this. What is this? I hope this Cap Revelation doesn't get retconned. I don't think that it will. And Man Out of Reality. Oh, I like that. Cryptic, man. I like that. Man Out of Reality as opposed to just Man Out of Time. Damn! You the man. You should be writing for Marvel, baby. All right. Nick Spencer, all right, started all of this. Nick Spencer is the current writer for the Captain America, both of them, for both of those big tales. And on top of that, man, this guy, he started it all for the most part in Pleasant Hill. All right, that's Avengers Standoff Pleasant Hill. That was the first big event after we had Axis, which was the first or the last big event for Marvel before the Secret Wars thing happened, where everything kind of got changed and then in a sense put back to normal, but not really. There were certain changes. Case in point, Old Man Logan coming from the wastelands to here. Guys, I mentioned that all of this is connected. I love how Marvel does that. Everything's connected. So we have Pleasant Hill. Now, Avengers Standoff Pleasant Hill was basically, if you ever heard of Pleasantville, all right, where things aren't really what they are. It's kind of like a Stepford Wives kind of thing. Pleasant Hill is Maria Hill, changing the reality of many criminals, many lifetime criminals, to make them think that there's somebody else so that they could stay in incarceration in this area called Pleasant Hill. Now, what's his name? There's this guy named Jim who was this big deal. He was the focus of the story. All right, Bucky is the man on the wall still at the time, and he comes to infiltrate. He gets caught, and then we see this guy Jim. And the really good leadoff. This is how I knew that Spencer was a great writer. Nick Spencer, man. He says that he leads us to believe that Jim is actually Bucky. All right, captured and put in there like that, and that's horrible. Turns out Jim is not Bucky. Bucky was able to, do his own thing on the aside. Jim is actually Baron Zemo, Baron Heinrich von Zemo. And he discovered himself because this other guy came along, set his house on fire, and said, "Come and hang out with me in my basement. freaky. And I'll tell you who you really are. And he showed him. It was him. And this guy was actually the fixer. So these guys together started freeing everybody, and they realized that this was a shield facility. That it turns out that those original 8 pieces of the cosmic cube that this is a new cosmic cube that was made. You remember, this is the cosmic cube that was way back with what's his face, the Red Skull had back when the Winter Soldier was first abducted. Not abducted, but introduced. The Winter Soldier was introduced as the old Bucky. This was a huge deal where they took Bucky, brought him back in the present time, had to fight Captain America. He realized you basically saw in Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier, that movie. It was not quite the same, but close enough to that. You'll get enough just out of that movie alone if you're not going to go back and read those incredible comics by one of the godfathers of comics, of modern day awesome stories, and that's Brubaker, Ed Brubaker. Love that guy. I literally put that guy on the same tier as Walt Simonson, who wrote probably the best story, the best run in comics, that 5 years of Thor, which Ragnarok is pretty much going to be based off of. All right, so we have Pleasant Hill. These guys escape. They start getting all these other people together, and there's a couple of Shield agents in there. One of those Shield agents turns out to be the new Quasar. It's the Quantum Bands. A lot of people wondering how come Wendell Vaughn isn't Quasar anymore. He didn't want to be the protector of the universe anymore. All sorts of wacky stuff, and he gave these bands to this Shield agent, and now she is the new Quasar, and she was just eaten by one of those giant Shi'ar things that the Hulk in the Avengers movie. Cap, you want to know my secret? I'm always angry, and then stops that big gigantic Chitauri thing coming down. Did I say Shi'ar? My bad. Stops this big Chitauri thing, which in the Ultimate Universe is actually just the Skrulls. But here, they had to do the Chitauri instead because I believe that Fox owns, the Fox Studios owns the movie rights to the Skrulls. They did start off in Fantastic Four issue number 2 way back in the day. So we have this happening. Oh, and the Inhumans are dealing with a wave also. Anyway, so, oh, for crying out loud, I'm all over the place because the story is just all over the place. So all these villains are being awoken, and Captain America Steve Rogers shows up. Now, this is not young Captain America who can fight off whoever he wants to fight off. He's still tough, and he still impressed the hell out of Deadpool, which was a fantastic crossover. But we have old man Captain America. If you remember the Iron Nail, wound up putting him in a radiation treatment that it took away his super soldier serum, and he became an old man. The age he was supposed to be like 90 years old. Still tougher than nails, but yeah, he's old man Steve Rogers now, like old man Logan, except probably just as cool. Anyway, so let's see, and that happened in the Axis storyline where the Red Skull took the brain of Charles Xavier. He had died. Xavier died before that in the before the original Sin storyline in the AVX, the Avengers versus X-Men storyline, where Scott Summers, Cyclops, killed Professor X, who, hey, I'm alive. Oh no, Scott, and he's dead. So lovely. So we have what's his name? The Red Skull now has the brain. He had it surgically implanted, combined with his own brain, just the right parts, so that he now has telepathy. He doesn't have the range. He doesn't have the range, the distance that Professor X had, but in the immediate vicinity, he has a good enough range where his powers are just, yeah, he's powerful enough. And we'll get to that in a moment with Steve not wanting to approach the Red Skull for that exact reason. In Pleasant Hill, old man Steve Rogers is cornered by all of the bad guys. All of the bad guys are there from Pleasant Hill. Baron Zemo, all of them. And they're beating the living hell out of Captain America. It's actually a really sad scene. One of the oldest original superheroes in the Marvel Universe, before they were even the Marvel Universe. And he's literally, in his mind, he's saying, so this is how it all ends. This is how I'm going to die. I'm actually okay with this. And who's he saving? He's trying to save Maria Hill, the least worthy person to be saved. She's the reason why there was the big division between the original Civil War between Captain America and Steve Rogers, Captain America and Iron Man in the original superhero Civil War. It was very different than the movie adaptation. So Cap is there and he's fighting, doing the best he can, doesn't stand a chance against all these villains, and all of a sudden, this guy shows up, this preacher, this reverend, and he says, "Okay, listen, we're gonna let you guys go." Okay, or Baron Zemo says, "We're gonna let you guys go. We'll let you bring her to a doctor, but then you and us are gonna have words. We're gonna handle things here. We're gonna handle business." And the preacher gets sent Anne Maria, bring to the doctor, and lock themselves in. The preacher is saying, "Hey, you need to open this door. Come out. I need to be there with you guys." Now, we don't know who the preacher is right now. He's a villain also. He could have been a SHIELD agent. We don't know. But anyway, what happens is goes in there and Steve Rogers escapes. But the preacher knew he was going to escape. Who's the preacher? Turns out that was the Red Skull. Now, the Red Skull wasn't actually captured by SHIELD. He wasn't captured by SHIELD. What happened was that he's off doing his own little bad guy thing, and he gets a visit by Kobik. He doesn't know who this little 4-year-old girl is. Kobik is the sentient Red Skull, the sentient cosmic cube. This cosmic cube becomes sentient, 4 years old little girl, and she does it because that's what she's represented. That's her, the amount of knowledge that she knows. Now, why does she go to the Red Skull? Because she was all 8 of these different fragments from that the Winter Soldier storyline by Brubaker. Excuse me. Sorry. If I was a stand-up comedian, I took a drink of water, everybody'd be cheering. Anyway, so Brubaker had, the Red Skull had the cosmic cube, and it got broken into the 8 pieces all over the place. Here we go. This is why I'm telling you, you don't reboot Marvel. The story is too lush. It's too expansive. It's too beautiful. Everything is connected, for crying out loud, and all these different people writing about each other. Brubaker wrote the Winter Soldier story. Cap lost his abilities with Rick Remender. He was writing that story, and now we got Nick Spencer doing this story. So many people on this, and just building off of each other's ideas, and it's beautiful. You don't reboot that. You don't reboot that. Not if you're brilliant. So, what do you call it? You have Kobik goes back to Red Skull and says, "Hey, you were the coolest person with me. You're the one who taught me the most." Skull's like, "Who are you? Go away from me." I'm like, "You know what? Kill her." And so mean with it. He's like, literally, "It's a little girl, right?" Yes. So aim a little bit lower. Like, that's how ruthless the Skull is, man. He's the ultimate Nazi. Like, he wasn't even supposed to be a Nazi, but he's like, yes, Nazi. All right, loves that. So, for crying out loud, man, Red Skull realizes who this actually is. Why? Because Sin, who is the daughter, Cynthia Schmidt, she's the daughter of the Red Skull. She actually became the new Red Skull during the Fear Itself storyline. During Brubaker's run, right after Captain America Reborn, all right, he came back from being lost in time the way that he was. He came back, and Sin actually got her face burnt, and she became, a Red Skull-looking person, and she kept that for a very long time, exacerbated in not Original Sin, Fear Itself, when she became the main chosen of the Serpent. So she still had that Red Skull face. And Kobik changed her back to her normal young face. That's where that came about. And that's when all of a sudden, he realized, oh, crap. Red Skull realized, you're the Cosmic Cube. Oh, wow. You attain sentience. That's insane. So when you use a Cosmic Cube all the time, what you're doing is you're teaching that Cosmic Cube how to use its own powers. Which is why if you're evil and you're doing evil things, it's going to learn that way. It's nurture versus nature, right? So taught Kobik how to be evil. So she's got that kind of tinge, but she's still innocent. She's still at that age where she still can make her own choices, and she just wants everybody to be nice to each other and be friends. So the Red Skull starts actually hanging out with Kobik. Now, the reason why Kobik went is because the Cosmic Cube was still there, but the sentience part of it with the power went over to the Red Skull. The 8 pieces combined are all still at Pleasant Hill. So they can still maintain the farce of, this prison over there with a Stark Tech force field of all things. So yeah, he was involved. He was involved. He's always involved in something just close to nefarious. So, where are we at now? The Red Skull is teaching her a new version of history. He's sitting down reading her stories that he's basically made up anytime that she comes to visit. And that's how the Allies cheated and changed history and made it so that they won when in reality we won. They were using an older cosmic cube, and that's how they did that. You see the lies within the lies. The Red Skull was teaching her these things. He's much more, as evil as he is, he's patient. He's extremely patient, and he's devilishly intelligent. All right, so as cool as Baron Zemo is as a villain, he's not on the level of Red Skull. He's just not. Zemo didn't even want to take time. He's like, yeah, kill the girl, keep the aspect away. All I need is the power of the cube. No, that's where he's wrong. Especially when it attains sentience, and it will. It will, because that's what they do. You can't change that. So, man, my kids are loud. So, the skull was doing all of that and teaching Kobik to be, to do all, or to have this ideal of what history actually was. So later on, she's actually able to offer the chance for Steve to change. Now, how does this happen? Steve escapes to the bowling alley and sees Kobik in the bowling alley. She loves bowling. All right, she's a little 4-year-old girl. What do you want? And he's trying to appeal to her, but who should show up but Crossbones, his biggest enemy. If you don't know the comics enough to know who Crossbones is, the bad guy in the very beginning of Captain America: Civil War, who tried to blow himself up. He had the poison in the area, and he tried to blow himself up and take Cap with him. And Scarlet Witch, sent him up flying, but lost control, and it blew up a big portion of that building. A lot of lives lost, and that's the beginning of the Sokovia Accords, essentially. So, that's who Crossbones is, and he's a lot more dangerous in the comics. In fact, Daredevil, there's 2 main people who he can't really get a bead on. Captain America's so fast that he can't even get a bead on Captain America. He's already established that in the beginning. But Crossbones also, he can't anticipate Crossbones' actions because his adrenaline is too, OD'd. It's too overdosed. Like he's off the charts, so he can't keep up. Maybe today with more practice he could, but at the time he couldn't keep up with Crossbones. He was too much for him. So Crossbones is killing Captain America, and the other 2 former Captain Americas, current and former, Bucky and Sam Wilson, are outside fighting, and the shield kind of goes askew and goes through the windows of the bowling alley. So Crossbones, get my shield. Crossbones finds the shield. He sees the shield. You see why the sexy thing was so worth it? And he says, "All right, man. You know what? How fitting it is to kill you with this of all things." And he's getting ready to just bring it down on top of Steve's head. Kobik kind of stops time. This is why I say one of the different reasons why I say that why I've surmised that the Cosmic Cube is more powerful than the individual gems, even doubly powered by the Power Gem, because she stopped time. She stopped time, went into Cap's mind, and said, "I can fix this. I can fix you. Do you want me to fix you and make you like you were before?" That's the key thing. There's a double meaning there. She wouldn't do anything untoward herself. Now, what Steve took it as is, I can give you back your secret soldier formula inside of you, make you strong again like you were. I can make things right again. But what does she know is right? She knows what the Red Skull has been telling her, those bedtime stories, how Captain America was actually a bad guy, or good guy, but working for Hydra, working for the Thule Society, all of that crazy stuff. So when she said, "I can make it right again," that's also what she meant. How would Cap know that? So he said, "Okay." So she gives him back the super soldier power plus all that crazy stuff that the Red Skull put in her head. So now Cap is evil Cap. He's Hydra Cap, Hail Hydra Cap, right? And he gets up, he grabs the shield, fights back, beats the snot out of what's his face, the Crossbones, puts him down on the ground. And he comes out. Bucky and Sam Wilson come in and like, it's about damn time. And it really is. It's like the feel good moment. You know, there are a lot of, that's the thing with Cap, man. Great speeches and great feel good moments, and moments that make you feel like, I want to be a hero like that. You know what I'm saying? When I was a kid, I loved the Hulk because he was strong. But as I got older, I loved Cap because he's what we can all attain to be. So he's sitting out there and he's got his shield. He's just sitting there looking at it. Oh, my foot soldier just fell. Not cool, man. Not cool. He's sitting there holding his shield, just looking at it, and he's thinking. And over in the Captain America Sam Wilson comics, he met this guy named Joaquin who was changed by Dr. Malice to become like almost like a high evolutionary, would change people. Big references to Adam Warlock there. He combined humans and other things. Sam Wilson actually became a version of Cap Wolf. If the old school Captain America fans remember Cap Wolf, yeah. Well, Sam Wilson now got got a taste of Cap Wolf. And anyway, this guy, he was combined with some kind of an avian creature, like, some kind of a bird, falcon perhaps, and he now became the new Falcon. All right, so he is an altered human. He took on the mantle of the Falcon, and Captain America Sam Wilson was totally cool with it. Says, "Yeah, man, it's all you." So that's that. Now we have Sam Wilson and Bucky are sitting there talking like, "Wow, I don't know what we're going to be able to do with two Captain Americas. I can't really go back to becoming Falcon. I already handed that mantle over to Joaquin." So funny little moment. But Steve comes over. Steve was sitting there thinking. Steve was trying to put everything into perspective. Steve had to realize that he was originally a Hydra agent in this new reality. This is not the proper reality. Like I said, lies within lies within lies, baby. So Steve now goes up and he says, "You can still be Captain America because you represent something on the streets and you've got to do what you got to do. And I appreciate that. I'm going to be doing the more cosmic stuff anyway, man. So do whatever, all right? And I'll be doing my thing. We can work together. Like, you've earned this. So do it." And it was supposed to be a feel good moment. In reality, Steve goes behind his back and starts talking to some big wigs, some very rich people who are going to be destroying or what do you call it? Financing the AmeriCops to cause dissent in the neighborhood. More dissent will be started amongst with the people because this other TV host, radio host, who's basically supposed to be like a version of Rush Limbaugh, in a sense. He's told to badmouth Sam Wilson and say yield the shield, or give back the shield, and just all this crazy stuff. So Steve Rogers has been hindering Sam Wilson's progression since the beginning, since the very beginning of right after Pleasant Hill was kaput, was finished. So Steve is now working for Hydra. And right now, Hydra is technically the Red Skull. Steve has realized that the Red Skull is not what's best for Hydra. He's been screwing it up since the very beginning. All the time, he's constantly screwing things up, man. So he says he's got to get taken out. He's got to be taken out. In order for Hydra to attain the level that it was supposed to attain, he has got to go. The Red Skull has to go. But if he ever went close to the Red Skull, the skull, here it comes again. Here's that pin, has the brain of Professor X. Wish I had the brain of Professor X right now so I can recall all this stuff a little bit clearer, a little bit more cognition. Anyway, so if he gets anywhere near Skull, he's going to be discovered. Skull can not only do surface thoughts, he can mind probe and get into the nitty gritty of those hidden thoughts. And Cap's not even trying. Like, this was the most powerful telepath in the world. If you watch Legion, all right, the TV show, or if you watch my Shadow King Explained in a Minute video, the Shadow King it existed long before there was even the first, actually from when the time that the first living being in the universe had its first negative thought or nightmare. That was the birth of the Shadow King on the upper astral. And as powerful as the Shadow King is, Professor X is still more powerful than the Shadow King. and Professor X's brain is in the Red Skull. So even if it's diminished, even if it's at 50%, Steve is pretty sure that the skull should be able to break the mental barriers that Captain America would put up. So he's not taking any chances. He can't go anywhere close to the Red Skull. He just can't. Um, Sai says, speaking of Adam Warlock, sorry, this is kind of off topic. It was recently confirmed that he won't be in Infinity War. I know. Just want to know your quick thoughts about that, Professor. He was supposed to be in this Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn acknowledged, now that it's established, he recently said that he was supposed to be in what do you call it? That wasn't supposed to be, for crying out loud, the pod, the cocoon that was closed in the end credits of Thor Dark World, but opened in Guardians of the Galaxy. That was always supposed to be her, or Aisha in this reference. She had so many names. Her, Aisha, Kismet. Kismet, she had the longest. That was when she was with Wendell Vaughn Quasar. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Marvel said, no, we're not ready for this huge character yet. We don't think anybody will know. But once those hints were out and people were like, we want Adam Warlock. I mean, he's like the perfect adversary for Thanos, right? Well, we're going to have to do something different now. Marvel's going to have to think of something else because they weren't sure to go with Adam Warlock. Dear God, I'm dying. I'm a stand-up comedian. Applause. You don't have to applause. Anyways, what do you call it? So he will be in the MCU. James Gunn already said he's going to be in the MCU. And he already said, I'm signing. And at the same time, he said, and I did decide to sign up for Guardians 3. He wasn't sure if he was going to do that. So at the same time that he acknowledges that Adam Warlock is coming in Phase 4, he also said that Guardians of the Galaxy 3, he's going to be on board for that project. So I'm wondering if there's a correlation there, my man. Anyway, and also Cryptic. Steve Red Skull, you should give Hydra a bad name. Pretty much. You might as well have just said that to Red Skull, because that's all that he really did. So Steve has got to try and plot and plan, and his first mission, this is in Captain America Steve Rogers, issue number 1, he's supposed to take out Zemo and kill Dr. Selvig. And I hate it when other people are online and they call him Dr. Slevig. Look at you can get the pronunciation from just looking at the spelling, for crying out loud. But anyways, so Dr. Selvig. Dr. Selvig, if you're not familiar, was in the first 2 Thor movies. He was also in the first Avengers movie. All right, so that's Dr. Selvig, the guy who was in charge of Natalie Portman and the other woman who was there, the crazy one who wanted to just tase people. That's Dr. Selvig. He was created for the MCU, and then Marvel put him into the comic books afterwards. Kind of like Harley Quinn was created in the Batman animated series, and then they're like, "Ooh, she's that popular? Let's put her in the comic books also." So a few characters like that. Laura Kinney was one of them. She started off in the Laura Kinney's X-23, the all new Wolverine. She started off in the X-Men Evolutions comic book animated TV show, and now she's boom in the regular Marvel universe. and now in Logan, Old Man Logan, the Logan movie. Okay, anyway, so back to the topic. So Red Skull now, he always wanted. He's got such an infatuation with Steve Rogers. You know, he should have just said he's dead. But why didn't he? It's because, like I said earlier, I think that he's actually Eliza Sinclair. I believe that's who he actually is right now, because she never existed before Captain America Steve Rogers issue number 1, which just came out 16 issues ago. Right? That's my theory. I could be wrong. But either way, we'll see what Nick Spencer's going to do with this, because we don't know who she actually is. Just some old school witch who never existed in the Marvel Universe before all of a sudden she's there. So, anyway, Steve Rogers now, he's supposed to kill Selvig. Instead, he winds up almost killing Flag. And Jack Flag pushes him out of the plane. He lives. Oops, you're thinking that he's got some kind of sympathy. Not really. Ish. Anyway, he never got the chance to try and convert him, which he probably would have tried to. I think that was his biggest regret. He even regretted the idea of killing Bucky, but he's okay with Zemo killing Bucky because Cap is evil. I'm sorry, guys. Let it go. So, let's see. You have Captain America is now he makes it look like he destroyed the ship and everybody on it. In reality, he saves Selvig and Zemo. Zemo was manipulated to be his best friend. Red Skull probably knew about it because he arranged for Zemo to be his best friend. But regardless, uh, Steve put the stuff. Kidnapped them and stowed them away in a secret facility. Now, Steve Rogers is, oh, for crying out loud, so all over the place here. Steve Rogers realizes that he can be undone by this new Inhuman named Ulysses. This is where Civil War II happens. Civil War II, if you only read Civil War II, you were probably thinking this was not the greatest comic ever. Civil War II was great in the sense that it was only designed as a way of pushing forward this storyline that's happening right now, Secret Empire. Steve Rogers saw the existence of this guy and said, he can reveal everything. He's a threat. I have to kill him. He did his little manipulations things to get everybody confused and working against each other elsewhere, but he was going up to kill. He was actually like literally feet away, a couple steps away from killing a sleeping Ulysses. When all of a sudden, the one guy that Steve Rogers he had all that battle with before, Iron Man, Tony Stark, all these battles with before. Hey, it's Iron Man. He comes in. He decides to kidnap and torture. Yeah, everybody who likes to think that Iron Man's a good guy, sure. Torture Ulysses to find out how his powers work and get an idea of how his powers work. If you think he actually figured out how his powers work, let me give you this. The what do you call it? Eternity came down and said, "You need to come and join us, cosmic beings." Now, if you think that Tony Stark is able to figure out an algorithm for how a future cosmic being's powers work, you have more faith in Tony Stark than I do. All right, Tony Stark is kind of a genius nitwit. I really want Ultimate Red Skull to pop up in the Marvel Prime. That would be great. That would be great. If Steve Rogers' son from the Ultimate Universe, who became the Red Skull, could actually come into the Marvel. That would be great. I remember you saying that to me once before in the comments. From your lips to God's ears, my man. So we have, at this point, what's the best way to go with this? Ulysses goes into the future. Okay, he actually goes into a version of the future, one reality of the future, and sees Old Man Logan. Now, if you read those original 10 issues in Wolverine Volume 3, or was that Volume 4? I think that was Volume 3, where the original Old Man Logan storyline happened. They were in New Jersey. That's where I'm from. That's where she's from. We see that Logan is there, and he says, "Hey, aren't you Wolverine?" He's like, "Who are you? What are you?" He says, "I'm an Inhuman." So you missed the last boat, bud. This was in Civil War II. He says, "The Inhumans, man, they all left the Earth." Now, the Inhumans are already leaving the Earth. So they're already kind of leaving the Earth for their own reason. Now, maybe they're all going to wind up leaving the Earth because if you're reading Royals, read it with me in the I do reviews for it. Royals #2 just came out. They're just now passing Pluto, and they met with a Chitauri wave, which they annihilated. Flint is more powerful than we expected him to be, man. That was pretty cool. They defeat an annihilation wave, and they're going towards Hala. Novar, from a different timeline, came and said, "Hey, listen, there's a secret in the ruins of Hala, which is the Kree throne world, which was destroyed. But in the wreckage of it, the ruins of it, there's a secret there that will answer all of your questions about the Inhumans, and possibly the answer to the creation of Terrigen Mist." Which, yes, Maximus already knows. And just like I said, Maximus did take the place of Royals #2 at the very end, revealed it. Spoilers. That Maximus did take the place of Black Bolt. So, yay me. I have the powers of Ulysses or Nostradamus. I'll call myself Nostradamus. Anyway, maybe Edgar Casey. All right, my lucid dreaming. So, Ulysses goes and he sees that and he says, "What happened, Old Man Logan? How did this wasteland happen? How does it come to this?" And Logan doesn't have a lot of time to explain because the emotions are getting out of control for Ulysses, so he's getting ready to go back to his regular time. And Logan is only able to say, he pushed her too far. Tony Stark pushed her too far. Who was her? Now, we assumed it was, what's her name? Carol Danvers. You know what I think it is? It's either someone who we haven't met yet, or it's Riri Williams. I think it's Riri Williams because that's the protege. His AI is taking right now, even in Secret Empire issue 0. He's working with her and helping her. He is her version, her Jarvis, right? He is her Jarvis, her Friday, her Jocasta in a sense. So we'll see if Secret Empire started. Old Man Logan's World. Well, that's the thing, Cryptid. I think that in a sense, yes, but it doesn't fit. Now, towards the end of Civil War II, we see that, or in the middle of it, the whole purpose of Civil War II was to kind of show that Miles Morales is going to kill Steve Rogers. But Steve Rogers goes and phases him. It's supposed to happen at the Capitol building. That's the Capitol building with with Miles Morales. Miles Morales, the new Spider-Man, the Ultimate Spider-Man, the new Ultimate Spider-Man, is supposed to kill Steve Rogers. Bang, right there. But Steve went anyway. Why would he go and do something like that? Well, Dr. Selvig asked him the same question after the fact. Why would you go back there? He could have killed you. He says, listen, man, everybody else sees what they're going to see. All right? It's not just seeing what is presented to them. The same thing was presented to me. But I was trained to see everything. 6 years in the military. I don't remember exactly what the acronym HOUSE stands for, but basically it's you look at when you go and you do infiltration, you see everything about, you see what is the unit that you're looking at. Enemy, what uniforms are they wearing? What patches are they wearing? What are you dealing with? Are these special forces? Are these engineers? What are you dealing with? If you go back and tell your platoon who you're with, or your squad, whoever you're with, this is what I see. Based on your information, they're going to say, are we going to attack these guys, or are we going to try and circumvent these guys? You have to be able to tell the equipment that they're working with, what are they doing at the present time, all these different aspects of what is happening. And that's what Steve knows. Way better than me, even though I'm real. But Steve is able to recognize all of these things. So he recognizes the entire picture, not just what everybody else sees. He sees past that. And he says, this was at the height of Hydra's power. So I knew that even though Miles will probably kill me, he wasn't going to kill me then and there. It'll happen in the future after I've brought Hydra to the pinnacle of what they're supposed to be. I know a lot of people were pissed off and they sent death threats to freaking on Twitter. What's his name? For crying out loud, Dan Slott. Dan Slott was talking about just yesterday how he got a lot of death threats for making Superior Spider-Man. Probably my favorite version of Spider-Man. Oh, there he is up top. I don't know if you guys can see him or not. It's not really that important. I'm just being a douche. Yeah, he's up top. Anyway, what do you call it? So he got all these death threats. Well, Nick Spencer also got an awful lot of death threats for making Cap Hail Hydra. This is why I say, anybody sitting there talking about reboot Marvel, y'all can't handle a reboot of an entire comic book company, all right? Because you guys couldn't handle one character being rebooted. I'm just going to put that out there. What happens here is he knows that this will happen at the pinnacle of his power. So at the height, that's why, how's Secret Empire going to end? My synopsis, my best guess, is going to end with Miles Morales killing Captain America. Now, Cap saw this in advance, and he thinks faster than anybody else thinks. He thinks with more clarity and everything. Yes, Tony Stark is more of a genius than Captain America is in the sense that he actually studied engineering, electrical and mechanical. He might have studied civil engineering for all I know. Software design, everything you could possibly imagine. In the engineering field, in the sciences, yes, Tony Stark knows that better than Captain America. Captain America, what he knows is the things that he knows. He knows art. He knows his military strategy. He knows his military history. He knows literature, ancient literature. He won a battle based on his reading of the Aeneid when Thor was actually there during it, and he still didn't even think about that. That's what I'm talking about. Captain America thinks faster than any other character in the Marvel Universe. Captain America's awesome. I'm fanboying out over him. I don't mind saying it in that regard. So we have Captain America is seeing all of this stuff happen, and he knows in general I've got time to plan, so he might be able to see what's happening and change this. Now, uh, Captain America's everywhere. He's over in the Uncanny Avengers comic book. The comic book is called Uncanny Avengers, but they themselves are called the Unity Squad. It's a group that he made. Kind of like a version of when Scott Summers reinitiated the X-Force program and put Wolverine in charge of it. They're supposed to do the dirty stuff, all right? But these guys are still Avengers, and that means something. That stands for something. Their brand is more important than almost anything else that they do. So they got to be careful about what they do. So yeah, Unity Squad, a little bit secret, public, secret, whatever. All the things they did. Havoc's not there anymore. So um, Captain America sets them up to fail. And when they do fail, he knows that they're going to disobey him and go after the Red Skull. When they go after the Red Skull, they're able to take out the Red Skull. Finally, it takes forever. They capture him. They have Beast remove the brain from Professor X's brain from him. And Cap was actually supposed to try and get that brain for himself to be able to use. But that's one thing that Cap couldn't control. Rogue wound up going up with Johnny Storm and incinerating that brain. At least half of that mission was accomplished, and that was getting the brain away from Red Skull. Once that happened, now the Red Skull is approachable, and he kills him. Maybe just kills a doppelganger, an avatar of sorts. Like I said, I believe that the Red Skull is smarter than to fall for something as simple as that. I believe that the Red Skull is Elisa. But that's neither here nor there. Whether it's true or not, we're probably not going to know about that for a while. Regardless, the Red Skull appears to have been killed. And his own daughter and Crossbones were totally down with that sickness. All right? Ooh, ah, ah, ah. So Captain America now has all of these different aspects of subversive groups working under his power. He's broadcasting messages to Hydra. He's the man behind the wheel, though, so he's got the veil over and the voice changer, all that good stuff. Eventually, he's got all of the good guys working for him, and now Marshall in Secret Empire issue zero, zero's not a number. He's got everybody. He's got everybody under his control, and he's got martial law has been declared. That's what I was trying to get to. Sorry, martial law has been declared. It's just getting hot in this sunroom with the doors closed. So martial law is declared. He's now got power over the entire military. He already has power. He became the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. by getting Maria Hill kicked out. She deserved to be kicked out regardless, but Sharon Carter should have taken it. She really should have. The betrayal, the emotion in that betrayal that she realized with Cap was just off the charts, man. It was kind of a bit of a choke up moment. It's like, oh my God, I feel so bad for this, imaginary female. So, yeah, Dr. Faustus comes in. Even the U.S. Avengers, those guys, the AIM guys at the very least, they're going to be taken over because he already knows that Professor X taught them extra resist domination techniques. We know this from reading Chris Claremont's X-Men series for all those years. Continuous. Man, that guy was just insane. So Cap has now essentially taken over everything. Now, here's something else I want to clear up really quick. We kind of brought you from there to here. We now know how all of this happened. The road to Secret Empire, it's essentially established. Any smaller things, any smaller details you want to know, ask me. I'm here. But I want to talk a little bit about, Ulysses was taken away. So here's where I'm going to get into the whole Ulysses thing, how I think that the Wasteland could potentially be included in this. People online, a lot of big comic book review companies, all right, a lot bigger than I am, you can tell they're kind of out of the loop a little bit. They're saying that they are trapped, that in New York City, the villains there are trapped in the dark dimension. That's not so. It's specifically stated the dark force dimension. Also, Blackout is there. He's the one who did it with help from Baron Zemo, who's using the Darkhold. All you guys who watch my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. review, same Darkhold. The same Darkhold that has the Montesi formula in it that can destroy all vampires, depending on how powerful the reader is. And if you're as powerful as Doctor Strange, all vampires. Not half vampires like Blade or pseudo vampires like Morbius, and Dracula was a special case. He wasn't actually there to be destroyed. So, oh, for crying out loud, where am I right now? Yeah, he summons the Dark Force dimension to wrap them up and put them in the Dark Force dimension. That's what happens now. The Dark Dimension is different. The Dark Dimension is the home of Dormammu and his sister Umar and Clea. Uh, they're all faultine or half faultine in Clea's case. They're special extra dimensional beings, literally, not creatures, beings. And Dark Force Dimension is different than Dark Dimension. This has nothing to do with Dormammu. This is the Dark Force Dimension where Cloak derives all of his powers from. He's a direct conduit. And that's important because they made very sure to note and give speaking roles to Cloak and Dagger, who, one, have their TV show coming out on Freeform. Check out my reaction, and there's a link there to go to Cloak and Dagger Explained, so I don't have to do that here. That's one of the reasons why I do these things. Oh, and later on today, I was supposed to do it earlier today. Sorry, guys, just a lot of things to do today. I will be putting out later on today the Wonder Man Explained in a Minute. Wonder Man is Simon Williams. He will be played by Nathan Fillion in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which comes out on Cinco de Mayo. I don't know why I had to do the dance every time I say Cinco de Mayo, but that's what happens. So, in the far-flung future, he's Hollywood. Anyway, you will see more about him. You can get a little bit about him in Vance Astro Explained, the original leader for the Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm going to put up Simon Williams Explained, and that's going to be about a 2-minute and some odd minute second video. Anyway, so excuse me. Yeah, Cloak and Dagger are there. That's going to be really their only way to get out. They're going to need Dagger because she generates the energy that he needs to survive. Otherwise, he's eating everybody inside of Manhattan. But he's a direct conduit, so he will be able to get them out of the Dark Dimension. Yeah, the Dark Dimension. And battle and beat Blackout as long as Zemo isn't using Finding Zemo. What a great new feature. Finding them. But I want you to think about what just happened here. The Pleasant Hill guys came and attacked New York City, right? Kind of almost sounds like what happened with Old Man Logan, those original 10 issues. So I think that by the end of this, we're going to have this thing where all the villains are coming together to attack, and Mysterio might be one of those people. The reason why I think that this is not going to lead directly into, or that there's going to be an out for the heroes, is because, one, all of the Inhumans didn't leave at the time, but they are leaving. Like I said, read Royals issue number 1 and 2, and you'll see that they're already leaving. They're getting ready to all leave the Earth and go back to Hala area. But when Hydra is in charge of everything, yeah, the villains are doing all these crazy things. But Logan, Wolverine himself, isn't alive. Old Man Logan is, and he knows what happened.